but later we might turn that back on. The chamber serves as your voice of business and a connector in the community. I know we have some of our partners in commerce here from Main Street. We have Molly, and then we have some of our friends at Discover Denton. But we are here to help provide you access to resources and information as we go into election season. As a reminder, we serve to advocate, educate, and collaborate on behalf of the business community. And then we have 3 primary principles by which we serve to fulfill through our mission as an organization. I'm not going to read them all to you today because there's a lot and we have a lot of objectives, but the main key reminder is we are here to help you be successful if you choose to do business in Denton, and we hope you choose to do business in Denton. We have a lot of people running and we're very short on time, so I'm gonna turn my space over now to my boss and our board chair, Jeremy Fikes with Guarantee Bank and Trust, to say a few words.
Thank you, Erin. As she said, I'm Jeremy Fikes. I'm the market president for Guarantee Bank and Trust here in Denton. But I'm also the chair for the Chamber of Commerce here in Denton. And I want to thank the candidates for coming out. I think it's very important for your message and positions to be heard so that the citizens can vote how they believe and what's important for them. So I appreciate you guys and gals coming out to do this. On behalf of the Chamber, as Erin said, we advocate on behalf of businesses. I would encourage the candidates also to reach out to the business community. Although we're, they may or may not live in the community, they are contributing to the tax base and a very important part of our community. So I would encourage the candidates to reach out to them as well. But I appreciate everybody else coming out to hear and listen, and hopefully this is a great forum for and informative for everyone. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Aaron Newquist. I'm with the American National Bank and Trust, along with Darren Robinson, Denton ISD. I co-chair the Chamber's Government Affairs Committee. Today, we will take this forum in pieces. We're going to go by contest, but not necessarily in order. All the candidates were provided with a list of questions that we got from their communication materials from when they filed, and they were all due by March 19th, and they will all be posted, all of the responses, even questions that weren't asked today, will be posted on the Chamber's website. As a reminder, the Chamber does not endorse candidates. However, its employees, committee members, board members, and members may elect to support candidates within their own personal capacity. Each contest will be called out. Each candidate will be given a 60-second opener, and then 3 questions from the questionnaire. If a person is invoked by their opponent in that race, they may have a 60-second rebuttal period. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to answer their question. We will take a couple of the contests. We'll do about a 5-minute break between each one, and about the middle part, we're going to try to do about a 10-minute break. All in all, should have you out here by 5 o'clock. With that, we would like to invite the candidates for District 1.
Afternoon, everybody. Happy to get this thing started with District 1. We have, I believe, Michael Herron and Jordan Villarreal with us today. Thank y'all for being here. To start out with, if y'all would, you'd please just give us about a 60-second introduction about yourself and anything you'd like for us to know. Right at this time, we'll start, Jordan, with you on the far side, and you'll move to Mike.
Yes. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for having me. My name is Jordan Villarreal. I'm honored to be one of the candidates for Denton City Council District 1. I'm ready to make sure that we have an experienced and level-headed leader at the dais focused on local issues. I've served as vice chair of our Denton Planning and Zoning Commission. I was on the commission for 4 years, making sure that neighborhoods have a voice in the development process. And I also served as the chief of staff in the Texas legislature for one of the most bipartisan members of the Texas House of Representatives, focused on affordability concerns. Now I'm ready to make sure that we have someone focused on those bread and butter issues at the local level. I'm talking making sure that we are fully funding our police and fire departments, which is why I've been endorsed by the Denton Firefighters Association. Ensuring that we have focus on vital infrastructure repair, including sidewalk connectivity, which has been a big concern for District 1 residents. And ensuring that we have someone pushing for more environmental sustainability concerns, protecting our local green spaces and our wildlife corridors, and ensuring that we have someone fighting for those environmental concerns. Again, my name is Jordan Villarreal. I look forward to answering your questions today. You can learn more about me at jordanfordenton.com, or you can come chat with me afterwards. I'm always happy to answer any questions anytime, anywhere. Thank you so much.
Mike?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Herron. Thank you, first of all, for allowing me to be here. I am running for City Council District 1 also, and I bring to the table over 35 years of leadership corporate training experience, where I worked with senior leaders within organizations such as Chase Bank, Capital One, Bank of America, different banks that I've worked with, training leaders in development in those areas. I also have my own small business, so I am in the place where I understand business from that perspective. I've been doing that for quite a few years and enjoy doing that. I bring a new perspective to this. As a longtime Dentonite, I want to see this city become the city that it can be. It already is, in my opinion. I think Denton is a great city, but I've been here all my life. All my schooling is here, and so I bring that to the table of being a Dentonite that understands Denton. And I want to have that listening ear to the citizens of District 1 and be able to provide for them in an area that's always has been underrepresented and many times in the past. I want to be that representation for them, to speak for them.
Okay, thank you both very much. Now we're going to get into the questions that we've prepared and y'all have seen in advance. But first off, we're going to start with you, Michael, and then Jordan. Y'all both have an opportunity to address this question. What do you see as the most significant challenge facing Denton's economy and business climate, including your potential district? And how would you work with fellow city council members to build consensus around solutions that provide stability and predictability for businesses?
So one of the things that I see as our greatest, most significant challenge is our lack of an economic development corporation that's funded by our sales tax. I think we need to be in a position where we have a broader economic development plan in place, or where we can attract the businesses that we want to attract, that will hire our people within this city and provide them a higher wage for them to earn a living while they're in this city. So some of the things that we want to look at is, we have what's called a Chapter 380 agreement, where it's a performance-based incentive. So, and we provide that for some of our people, but we want to look at this from a perspective where we bring businesses here. We have one that's coming into our district that I'm representing. Novartis is on its way here, and I think it could provide a good resource for that area and our community, provide jobs for people who could use jobs, and bring up the economic development within that area.
Thank you, Michael. Jordan?
Thank you so much for that question. The biggest challenge facing Denton's business climate is creating stable and predictable conditions while the city manages rapid growth, infrastructure strain, and rising costs. Businesses need to know that the city policy will be consistent, transparent, and focused on basics like roads, permitting, utilities, and public safety. I would work with city council members looking for common ground, especially when we're talking about economic development. I've been on the record since the first forum as being in support of an economic development corporation here for the city of Denton. It's been done in almost every major city in town in DFW. We're falling behind by not attracting the right kinds of businesses that fit with the current climate, with the current characteristics of our city. And an economic development corporation would allow us to attract those cities and bring them here without just giving tax breaks. So absolutely agree with my friend here, Michael Herron, that we need an EDC ASAP. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you both. Next, we're going to go to another question, and we're going to start with Jordan this time and then come back to Michael. How do you define local control, and how should the city balance local priorities with state laws to ensure a stable regulatory environment for businesses and residents?
Thank you for that question. In the state legislature, my member was the most pro-local control state representative in the entire Texas House, and I'm very proud of that fact. Local control means Denton making decisions as close to the community as possible, based on local needs, values, and conditions. At the same time, the city has to operate within state law and, of course, avoid unnecessary lawsuits. The best approach is to defend Denton's ability to solve local problems by advocating the state legislature. while keeping the regulatory environment clear, lawful, and predictable. Businesses benefit when the rules are stable and the city is focused on implementation instead of causing political strife. Thank you.
Mike?
So local control is the authority and power of local governments to create regulations, manage their affairs, and self-govern. In other words, in simpler terms, it's allowing the state to get involved in the local politics, or if you will, the local decision-making. I am a believer in that we need to be manage that where we keep control of Denton. We live here, and we feel what we need. We have what's best for the citizens that are here, rather than allowing someone else to constantly come in and decide for us our decisions. And sometimes those decisions are based on other cities, and they may not be the best decision for us. So let's keep local control within our arena. Let's keep local control in a place where we make the decisions as city council. And I'm going to be working with city council to keep that in place so that we can make sure that we understand that let's make these decisions, but we got to make the great decisions, the right decisions. And so I believe we should keep the local control within the city.
Thank you both. Now, a final question, and we'll begin with Michael, and then Jordan, allow you to answer next. Michael, you actually already hit on this a little bit. This is an important subject to the Denton Chamber. What role should Chapter 380 agreements and other incentives play in Denton's economic development strategy, and what principles would guide your decisions on their use?
So as I stated before, the Chapter 380 agreement is a performance-based incentive. And so when you talk about it being a performance-based, it's essential to our city. So some of the things that I think we should be able to do is, as we bring in prospective businesses, as we look at bringing in prospective businesses, let's make sure we choose businesses that are fiscally sound. Those that, we don't want to bring in a business that's fledgling, because then we give them these agreements and then it doesn't work out well. Let's agree to a plan that makes fiscal sense for the city, that provides not just jobs, but a range of pay scales that will be able to help during the inflation crisis, that will help us keep our affordable housing, that will help us keep the homes we currently live in. So we can have high-paying jobs that provide a long-range benefit for the citizens. So let's keep that conversation open, but make a decision that's going to be in the best interest of our city.
Thank you for that question. Chapter 380 agreements and similar incentives should be used sparingly, strategically, and only when they produce a clear public benefit. I would support incentives when they create measurable job growth, expand our tax base, or help a project move forward in a way that Denton could not achieve on its own. They should not be used as a routine giveaway or as a substitute for good policy, infrastructure, and permitting. My guiding principle would be accountability. If the city gives something up, the public should get something real, tangible, and verifiable in return. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both for those. We have time for one more question, and so I'm going to start this time with Jordan and then come back to you, Michael. What kind of working relationship should the city maintain with the Denton Chamber of Commerce and the broader business community, and how would you engage those stakeholders as a city council member?
Absolutely. So we need to make sure that the Chamber of Commerce is working strategically with our city. Starting an EDC is just the first step of that. Ensuring that y'all have a more thorough process to attract businesses, have communication with our city council members, and be able to attract and reach out to businesses and corporations and bring those folks to town. So I want to make sure that we are having those conversations regularly, that you're not, guessing or wondering what the city council is doing. We're having those preemptive, proactive conversations with chamber leadership to let you know, here's what's coming before city council, here's what's going to hit our agenda in the next few months. What's the chamber's position on this? How can we support small business growth? What kind of role can we play to make sure that small business incubation is happening here in town? So absolutely want to make sure that we're working hand in glove with our Chamber of Commerce throughout my tenure on council.
And thank you for that question also, again. So I probably have some of the agreements with with Jordan, is we want to keep the lines of communication open for the Chamber of Commerce. I've attended some Chamber of Commerce meetings in the past, but it was primarily the Black Chamber of Commerce, but I've attended some of those meetings. And being a small business owner within this city, it's important that we keep the small businesses that are here, we keep that line of communication open too. But also with the ability to attract more businesses to this city. So let's keep that line of communication open, because we want to be able to inform the business owners that are here when there's a code change that may affect them in order to get a new CEO or something like that. Let's not let them have to make these decisions and don't have a lot of time to make this decision. Let's make sure we keep them transparent. We become transparent with them. Hey, we're considering this code change. We're considering this decision. It's going to affect your business from this perspective. Let's have that discussion beforehand and not push business into, you have 3 months to comply. And so let's keep that line of communication open.
Excellent. Thank you both for your answers and your thoughtful responses to these questions. We really appreciate you being here today. So let's have a round of applause for our we have the District 2 candidates coming up, please, and I'm going to pass the baton back to Aaron.
Excellent work on time. So now you guys know how it's done. It's a high bar to meet. Same as before, you'll get a 60-second opener. We'll try to get in 4 questions. And if you choose to note the other opponent in your response, they get a 60-second response. So let's go ahead and start with Mr. Archer. 60 seconds.
Yes, my name is Robert Archer, the third. I'm running for City of Denton District 2. I've lived in Denton since 2012. I'm currently the Denton High School Band Booster Club president. Chose to run because change needs to happen. My family and I have been here since 2012 in Denton, and we've lived in all the districts within Denton. We got our home in District 2, and looking at that area where there's tons of room to grow, plenty of opportunity, and I want to make sure that it's formed correctly with community input. So, but yeah, that's a little bit about me. Thank you.
Hi everyone, is this on? Yes it is. My name is Nick Stevens. I'm running for Denton City Council District 2. I gotta say, I love these. Cute design. I've lived in Denton for 21 years. I'm a small business owner in the community, and my job is to work with construction companies to make sure that they do municipal projects correctly and on time. I love the city. I think we could have someone on council maybe that is really good at that if you look outside ever. Outside of that, I'm the co-founder of the JBD College Neighborhood Association, as well as the co-founder of the West Denton Neighborhood Council. I went to UNT, I went to seminary, God had different plans, and so that's one of the reasons I'm running for council. It's because I love our community. The reason I'm running is, just to be blunt, we're in trouble. 60% of the residents are living paycheck to paycheck. Homelessness is double. The streets are a mess. We're seeing that we are struggling because there's so much strife on council right now, that we need experienced people who are going to take the job seriously and help us get back. That's all right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nick, we'll go ahead and let you have first crack at the first question. What are the biggest opportunities for Denton's long-term economic prosperity, including your potential district, and how should the city manage growth to support infrastructure, workforce needs, and quality of life?
Can you ask that question one more time? Or what number is it on here, rather?
I think it's what are the biggest opportunities for Denton's long-term economic prosperity?
5.
Okay. One of the biggest opportunities that we have are the universities that we have. That's UNT, TWU, as well as NCTC. We have so many gifted students in this community, and I think sometimes what worries me is that a lot of them graduate and then they leave our community and go somewhere else where there are more jobs. That includes NCTC as well, right? You have people who are specializing in trades to become a contractor or get some sort of medical certificate. those are people that we should be keeping in our community. And so that's really what I'd like to focus on. Outside of that, it's about having strong economic development in the community from the city as well, making sure that we are seeking out the type of businesses that match our community. That's something I'm really passionate about, and I hope I have more opportunity later to talk about that. Thank you.
Yes, so, the question, biggest opportunity. So, Denton's long-term economic prosperity comes from a strong local workforce and universities, as Nate mentioned. We have the people base, just in my district alone, District 2, there's ample opportunity for growth within the city of Denton. The commercial areas, infrastructure and capacity is important as well. There's plenty of that up in the northern part of our town. The new subdivision, that's bringing in 900 new homes, that's roughly 2,500 people. So we have the workforce, we have the knowledge base, we have the strength. So we need to continue with the support of local business and our local economy and utilize our capacities, our city capacities in order to bring big businesses in to be able to help sustain our economy and our workforce that we have available.
Next question. What role should the city of Denton play in economic development? And how would you assess the city's current approach? What is working well? And what would you change to better support business retention, expansion, and attraction? 90 seconds. Go ahead, Rob.
Sorry. So the city plays a huge supportive role in that, right? So a lot of that comes down to clear and consistent policies from the city, right? If business owners know how to plan accordingly, set forth by proper inspections, expectations set forth by the city, right? And the capacities that the city has, that businesses can strive. So, part of that is the city's responsibility to be able to provide a reliable infrastructure, right? And utilizing that long-term financial sustainability, right? So to best support business retention, expansion, and attraction, essentially I would focus on communication with the business community and ensuring transparency.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think I saw the economic development director for the city in here, at least earlier. And so if she's in here, we do the best job ever and it would change absolutely nothing. One thing I'm really passionate about, and this is something I would really love for us to focus on, is entertainment. And how can we get people to spend more money in our community so that we can increase sales tax revenue? Everyone wants fun things to do. Everyone wants to buy something. One of the things that I was really passionate about with the last campaign, and this campaign is a niche market called the Michelin Group. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but they review restaurants nationwide. They finally came to Texas because of the state of Texas urging them and lobbying them to. And the catch of it was to spend $75,000 per city for 3 years in a row to get them to start reviewing your restaurants. When you get this Michelin star or Big Gourmand or any of these things, you have people from all over the world, literally, coming to your city to spend money in your city to do these things. I think we missed an opportunity when San Antonio did it, Austin did it, Dallas did it, Houston did it. That's a little bit of money that we could have spent, and I would like us to spend, to bring that kind of thing to Denton, to help people start small businesses here, help them succeed, and help increase our tourism.
Third question, we'll start with you. How do you define local control? And how should the city balance local priorities with state laws to ensure a stable regulatory environment for businesses and residents?
Yeah, I think part of the reason that question is being asked is because the state government keeps stripping away all of our local control, it seems like, on everything. I think it was last session they were starting to discuss getting rid of certain zoning policies, and and allowing that to just be carte blanche, what was allowed to happen, rather than you as a city having a priority yourself. And so I don't know that it's necessarily about balancing it as much as it is about following the law. And when you see a gray area, if you feel the need to push, push. Outside of that, though, I do think we need to have better, stronger communication with the state to make sure that we have a seat at the table and we can ensure that we are gaining back more power as a city. I think all of us want that. Thank you.
Yeah, so local control is that what it is? It's defined by our local community, right? Now granted, there is state control, right? State and federal oversight that must be followed as well, but local control is that, right? All the stakeholders locally need to have that voice. And with that, our city needs to be able to evaluate policies in place that still apply to state law, but are able to conform to be able to mold our community, to be able to build and grow essentially, right? So a stable regulatory environment comes from clear policies, consistent enforcement, and open communication between the city and the state, right? So stakeholders across the board, county, state, and federal, we need a seat at that table, right? We need to be communicating properly and through the right channels in order to get that seat at the table and utilizing all the other resources to get the state's attention by their own policies they have in place.
I'll hold you for one more question. Start. So back to you, Robert. What kind of working relationship should the city maintain with the Denton Chamber of Commerce and the broader business community? And how would you engage the stakeholders as a city council member?
Communication, 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 100%. So, you know, the Chamber of Commerce is that medium between the government, the city policies, and the economy, the local economy, the direct business owners, and the workforce as well. So most definitely open communication, transparency, and there needs to be that clear divide though, right? Where there's no biased decisions, right? This is the rules that the government and our local city has. That way there can be proper open communications, proper channels to be able to evaluate, so then business owners can plan, right? And that's what the Chamber of Commerce, my understanding, does. It helps mediate between that, so business owners can strive and grow, and with the clear consistency from the local government. So,
Yeah, I'd really love to improve that communication. I think we saw an example of that over the past few years when it came to the Chamber of Commerce, where, you know, right or wrong, it doesn't really matter. The city wanted to pass new policies when it came to hiring. I think that what we saw in that moment was a little bit of division and confusion because the business community hadn't been communicated with earlier. I think always having those conversations is a good thing. Whether we always land the same way, that's another story, but having that conversation is important. One of my mentors gave me a good saying that I always use, which is I'm one set of facts away from changing my mind. And so unless we're constantly having that conversation and talking to every stakeholder, whether that's business owners like y'all or myself or community members or employees, it's just important that we talk so that we can learn different perspectives and make the best possible solutions. Thank you.
Fantastic. With that, I'll turn it over to Aaron for place 6, but thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
We're doing great on time. We were really worried we had it down to the minute, but we are doing great on time.
So I will have a good half an hour.
No, I should not have
Once upon a time in second grade, I tripped.
She's already looking like she's taking. You have 2 microphones. Okay, so I'm doing Jill because Jill is running uncontested, and so there is no bias or perceived endorsement there. I would say, because she doesn't have a candidate against her, Minor and Jester has been a member of the chamber for 62 years this year. So thank you for your continued investment in the business community.
Just want to say I am not 62 years old.
Yes. But will you introduce yourself, and we're still going to time you, 60 seconds.
Son of a bee sting. All right, let's go fast. First of all, I want everyone to know that obviously I did get into a fight with a pen today. What I want to say is you should see the pen. Okay, it's in the trash right now, and that's, no, just kidding. My name is Jill Jester, and I'm so pleased to be in my first term serving in the Place 6 City Council. I was born and raised here, I grew up here, this is my town, this is my place. I say we're a band of misfits, everyone is welcome here. Whether you're on the right, on the left, in the middle, or upside down, as long as you are respectful, you are welcome here. I'm a small business owner, we have 9 employees, and I also have served on the Chamber of Commerce Government Relations Committee, started with the Local Government Relations Committee, then Government Relations, then was on the board and was also chair of the board of directors here because I understand the importance that businesses have in order for our city to work. We have sales tax, we have property tax, and we have our fees. And that is how the city obtains money in order to provide services. And so all the things, all the quality of life things, and all the assistance we want to give. Am I over my time?
Yes.
And scene.
All right,
Again, sorry.
all right. Jill, first question is for you.
All right, excellent. Excellent choice.
What role should the city of Denton play in economic development, and how would you assess the city's current approach? What is working well, and what would you change to better support business retention, expansion, and attraction? You'll have 90 seconds.
Okay, that's a lot for 90 seconds, I just want to say that first. But the Chamber and the city's Economic Development Department, we have the same goals, and that's a prosperous, safe, and friendly city. That is what we all want. So we should be working hand in hand and handing out tasks in our collaborations with those that can best provide those services. So whether that be the city administering the incentives, whether that be the Chamber reaching out to our current employers, finding out what their needs are as far as other businesses that might want to come on board because of the proximity, whether it be nonprofits that are assisting with those in need and in danger of becoming homeless. I think it's important that we continue to collaborate. I would say the current approach is lacking a couple of things. One is I think there's a lack of understanding of what economic development is. What economic development is not is how to bring in necessarily just tourists and residents, because funding our arts, making a quality of life, that helps to attract those things, but that is not what makes a business move here and employ people and provide good jobs. And the reason I know that is not because of my experience, but because of what I've listened to on the Economic Development Partnership Board. Ask Peterbilt, one of our best community partners, our biggest contributor to United Way. Ask them why they expanded in McKinney and not here. And it's because McKinney had $1 million in their fund ready and willing to help put in the infrastructure, the roads, the utilities to where they wanted to build next. And that's something we have done.
That's why I think I actually got assigned this one, so I could be the one that puts you on.
Yes, so we need more Direct Catalyst Fund and we need more education, I think, to our community in what is economic development by listening to the actual businesses and not just making it up.
You have to behave to get 2 more questions.
Son of a
Okay.
beast.
All right. What do you see as the most significant challenge facing Denton's economy and business climate? You can speak to your district if you'd like. And how would you work with fellow city council members to build consensus around solutions that provide stability and consensus as well as predictability for businesses?
I would say there are a number of obstacles, and one being that we have a lack of financial support. We do give a half-cent tax to the Denton County Transit Authority, and in order to change that and put that towards some kind of economic development corporation, that would take a citizen vote, and I think that would be difficult to do. What I do want to do is continue to fight for transportation that also looks at where the employees are and how to get them to the businesses. That's something that I hear, and that's something that I think is important as far as when we look at buses versus, say, GoZone, is that GoZone allows some people that couldn't make it to the bus stop to actually have some kind of transportation assistance. I would say also, from what I understand, some of the changes and extreme potential politics on council is a problem. And what I will say is I have committed, and I believe I have been successful in earning some respect in areas from other council members by proposing amendments to motions to try to find ways to meet in the middle, to compromise. And I have said again and again how much I think it's important, especially in city politics, to reach across the aisle, to not care who it is making the motion or whose idea it is, as long as it's the right thing for our city. So I continue to pledge to you to try to model good behavior. I'm certainly not perfect, but to always treat everyone with respect and to continue to look out for what is in the best interest of our city. These are local elections. They are nonpartisan on purpose. These are our next door neighbors, and we shouldn't be taking on issues that we have no purview over. And see.
That was better that time.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, last question. What kind of working relationships does the city maintain with the Denton Chamber of Commerce and the broader business community? And how would you engage those stakeholders as a city council member? Remember, still 90 seconds.
Okay, that's a long question too. So what I would say is, actually, would you repeat the question for me, please? It's a long one, I just want to hear your voice.
Yes, of course. And you get to reset your time on that, so smart thinking. What kind of working relationship should the city maintain with the Denton Chamber of Commerce and the broader business community? And how would you engage those stakeholders as a city council member? 90 seconds.
Okay. Well, I'm going to continue to showing up. I think showing up is half the job, so I'm going to continue to show up to chamber events and also push out the information, because the chamber works not only with our large employers, but actually vast majority of our members are small businesses. And as they continue to educate, put on seminars, as they continue to start programs like the Young Professionals in Leadership Denton, trying to look to the next leaders, trying to help them find jobs, trying to help them find mentors. I will continue to do that. I think it's important that our leaders listen to the people doing the work. So again, it's not as if I can tell you what our local hospitals need as far as employers and how we're missing the housing middle, that we've got middle income, low income, but not enough high income houses to attract doctors and surgeons and some of the businesses that we want. We have to have someone willing to say, we need to concentrate on all of this if we want an ecosystem of our city that can sustain payments and services and the tax level that we want. So I would say it's continue to advocate for, again, the housing, the transportation, and the, unfortunately, tax rate when it comes to the best of our ability in order to compete with cities near us and make us a better city and give us jobs that our graduates want to work at instead of going somewhere else. We're excellent in warehousing, cold storage. We've got some, but a lot of that is because of our proximity and not because of what we have here. So workforce, transportation, all these things are things that are definitely at the forefront of my mind. I've had 2-minute pitches that were successful, where we automatically added the Catalyst Fund and time. But if you would like to speak to me any other time, feel free to give me a call or email, and I'm happy to talk to you or tell you who to vote for in other elections. So it can be local, state, federal, whatever you want. But I love my city, and I love getting to be here and share things with you and learn more. So it's
Still time.
okay.
And what's great is afterwards, all the candidates will be available, and they won't have a 90-second window, so you can continue your conversation with Jill or any candidate. All right, I want to call my friend Darren up to walk through place 5. Just kidding, we're going to take a quick break so Jill can keep talking should she wish. We're going to take a 5-minute break. The restrooms are right behind you, and we have drinks up front, and we will be back at 3:15.
Let's give Jill a round of applause, please. We're going to talk a little bit about our place 5 at-large candidates. I do want to say that in the during the break, I'll let Jill know, because everybody needs to realize that as an attorney myself, 90 seconds does not work for us, okay? There's nothing against you, this is the way we work.
That's true.
90 seconds is really good, so
Sorry.
well done to everybody so far. Place 5 at large, we're going to start out with George and then Erica. We're going to let y'all give y'all each 60 seconds to introduce yourself and tell everyone what you'd like everyone to know about you.
Okay, thank you so much. Hi, my name is George Ferry. I have lived in Denton for 20 years. I own a home now after 16 years of renting with my husband who's a public school teacher. Who's on his 17th year. I am excited to be announced here first. I actually just found out I won Denton Record Chronicles Denton County 40 Under 40, both for men in business and mental health practitioner. I'm very grateful to be a small business owner. I used to own and operate a wine bar on the downtown square, and now I own my own private practice with my business partner, Rachel, providing affordable and accessible mental health care. I've been a proud previous board member of Denton Main Street Association. I'm the current president of Denton Affordable Housing Corp. We own and manage 96 homes scattered throughout the city of Denton to provide affordable housing to families. And we are also breaking ground in November on a permanent supportive housing unit of 84 apartments for chronically unhoused folks. I can talk to you about all the 12 boards I've served on across 17 years, but I will be here afterwards to tell you all about myself if you'd like to learn more. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Chief.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I want to thank you all for being here today. My name is Erica Garland. I'm running for Denton City Council Place 5. It's an at-large seat, so everyone in Denton can vote for me. I think it's important to know who you're voting for. So I've lived in Denton for about 16 years. I raised a family here. I'm mom to 4 boys. I built my career at the Denton Enterprise Airport. I currently am a professional at a major airline. I've served on the Airport Advisory Board here in Denton. I've served on the Planning and Zoning Commission, where I've seen firsthand just how the decisions at the city level affect each and every one of us. They affect our neighborhoods, they affect our small businesses, it affects everything, how Denton grows and what Denton grows into. Denton is definitely, you're going to hear this a lot throughout this campaign, Denton is at a crossroads, and we have a lot of unique issues compared to other cities in North Texas. We have got to get back to the core issues of the city. The growth is coming, whether we want it to or not, and we have to be prepared for that. We have to be intentional, and we have to be strategic. So again, my name is Erica Garland. Looking forward to meeting and chatting with each and every one of you, and hope I can answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you both. Appreciate those introductions. So we're going to come to our next question, and we're going to start with Erica, and then we'll come back to you, George. Question is, what role should Chapter 380 agreements and other incentives play in Denton's economic development strategy, and what principles would guide your decisions for their use?
Yeah, so this is a great question. So the Chapter 380 agreement is just one of the tool belts that we have, one of the tools in the tool belt that we have. Along with other economic development incentives, they can certainly be valuable tools when used thoughtfully and strategically. I don't think that it should be just the primary driver that we use when referring to economic development, but it certainly can be something that helps Denton remain competitive when attracting and expanding businesses. So for years and years and years, for some reason, Denton has developed this reputation that we're not business friendly and that we're hard to work with. I think that probably many of us have heard that rumor. And so I think that that is something that we definitely need to change. We need to be attracting the right kind of businesses to Denton. We need to be thoughtful in what does Denton need. You're going to hear a lot about affordability and the cost of living and the area median income and how Dentonites are struggling. And all of this plays into that gigantic ecosystem of why these things are happening. And so I think many times we look at the result instead of looking at the cause. And so again, another tool that we have the ability to use to just try to encourage the right kind of business and economic development to Denton, to kind of bring all of Dentonites up. Thank you.
Could you repeat the question?
Sure, absolutely. What role should Chapter 380 agreements and other incentives play in Denton's economic development strategy? And what principles would guide your decisions on their use?
Thanks. So when we're talking about corporate incentives, right, I think that we absolutely need to restructure how we do that in Denton. I think Jill brought up a good point about when we're seeing places like Peterbilt, who given so much to our town, provided a lot of jobs, leaving. That's an opportunity missed, right? To hire hundreds more folks, have an expansion of a company that is dedicated to being rooted in our town. I'd also like more transparent ROI tests before we approve some of these opportunities. I want these incentive projects that make local housing more affordable. I want to make sure that tax breaks are tied to fair wages, local hiring, right? When we hear about corporations that are going to come here, I want to know how many actual jobs will be created for Dentonites, right? And I want to make sure that those jobs are actually affordable for people to have cost of living be met and also for those to be incentivized throughout the years to be able to meet the rising cost of living, as we've seen in just the last two. I also think that when we talk about these types of tools, Catalyst Grants is another one that was mentioned, we need to be thinking creatively. We are a huge cultural hub in North Texas. I would love to see some of the downtown space be used for a built-out kitchen and have people have 1 year, learn how to run a business, learn how to do the books, run their kitchen with all the equipment that's needed, let them pocket that money and open their own restaurant in Denton. The same could be said for other workplace professionals who want to be a CPA. Let's give them an office downtown, allow them that opportunity to run a business, and hopefully stay and create more. Thank you.
Thank you both.
That's all. Thank you for that.
Our next question, George's going to come to you first, and then we'll move over to Eric. How do you define local control, and how should the city balance local priorities with state laws to ensure a stable regulatory environment for businesses and residents?
I think that's a great question. If you watched the last legislative session last year, a lot of changes came, not just for housing, not just for renters' rights, but including businesses and the types of developments that can exist in a city. Because that is changing, we need to navigate these restrictive laws, again, creatively. We need to use our own internal buying power and our own contracting rules. My perspective is building a worker-centered economy. It requires fair wages, local apprenticeships, and strict safety standards on all city-funded projects and incentivized developments. By creating a worker standards board even, we could bring together people to raise the standards of living and protect our local workforce without triggering legal fights with the state government. This also includes the local partnerships question that might come up. The city should actively be engaged with Chamber of Commerce, Denton Main Street Association, Discover Denton, CBD. We have all these tools, we need to cross-care collaborate, right? As a social worker, it's all about cross-care. I talk to all the different agencies and entities to see what resources are available to address a need for an individual. Just like the needs of the city, we need to be engaging with all these partners collectively at all times. Thanks.
Okay, Erica?
So I think we all understand what local control means. It means that the people closest to the community, the people that are living in the community, should have a meaningful voice in shaping the city into what it becomes, into shaping those policies that affect each and every one of us. Cities like Denton understand that we're unique. I mean, we're unique in Texas, but we're unique in North Texas. We have very specific issues and challenges that we face. We are essentially a city that was built around two big universities. So we have infrastructure issues, we have transportation issues. I think that we have to be positioned in a way that we're thoughtful. I'm going to use the word intentional a lot, but intentional in how we, in the decisions that we make, in how we use our land and infrastructure and community development. At the same time, cities operate within the framework of the state law. We've seen locally what happens when we try to bypass state law. And so it's important that we respect that structure and work cohesively in that. To the most effective approach is to work constructively with our state reps, while also listening to our community and our local businesses into listening to that feedback. Thank you.
Thank you both. Appreciate those thoughtful answers. We're going to move on to our next question. Obviously, there's a pattern. Erica, you're going to go first, and then we'll let George answer after that. What do you see as the most significant challenge facing Denton's economy and business climate, and how would you work with fellow city council members to build consensus around solutions that provide stability and predictability for businesses?
Okay, say that one more time. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. What do you see as the most significant challenge facing Denton's economy and business climate, and how would you work with fellow city council members to build consensus around solutions that provide stability and predictability for businesses?
Okay, so we have a lot. I would say that for most people, if you ask them what is the biggest issue that Denton faces right now, it's managing the growth. I don't think that any of us were prepared for the growth that Denton would see over really the last 10 years. It hit us, and our infrastructure, our traffic, our roads, everything has felt the burden of that. I think that Denton has everything that it needs to be successful. We have great boards, we have the chamber, we have an economic development team, we have people that are working well together to make Denton successful. What I think that sometimes the challenge is a lot of times these different boards or commissions are siloed. And so each one is kind of working within their own silo of what they feel like is that issue. And so I think that one of the things that I would challenge us to do as a city is work cross-departmentally. Understand communicate more, and understand what we're working on, what the goals are, have clear, again, intentional goals when it comes to the city, and then all kind of work together in alignment and, I guess for lack of better words, make sure we're all rowing in the same direction.
Thank you. George?
Thanks. I think one of the biggest challenges to our economy is housing affordability. We are in a crisis. We're not at an impasse. We're past it. We're the 12th fastest growing county in the country. And data has told us that we are also the second worst in availability for houses for low income and extremely low income families. For every 14 families, for every 100 families seeking a unit, whether it's a duplex or a single family home, only 14 are available. That's staggering, and we have to address that head on, right? We cannot keep approving these sprawls of MMD that want to bring in development that is not affordable to the people who already live here, because it continues to push out people. If you want your local coffee on the way to work, wouldn't you want that barista to be able to afford to live in the same city they work? I think that that's a huge opportunity that we're missing. I think legacy small businesses are being squeezed by skyrocketing rents. I think that to fix all of this and to give some business predictability, I want an infrastructure first approach. I want to see growth pay for itself. I want, rather than passing the bill to us, right? Taxes raising, and then our utility rates going up twice in 1 year. On city council, I want to focus on data-driven policies. I want to require that small business impact reviews be done for major developments. We need to bridge the gap between residents' concerns over the displacement and the city's need to reduce municipal debt. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our final question, George, we'll begin with you and then we'll move to Erica. What kind of working relationship should the city maintain with the Denton Chamber of Commerce and the broader business community, and how would you engage those stakeholders as a city council member?
That's a great question, and I think I can answer it succinctly by saying that is a part of my job and has been what I've done in the community for over a decade and a half, right? I've started a nonprofit to help artists that's now in its 18th season performing out of the Black Box Theater in the Golden Triangle Mall. I have owned 2 businesses successfully. I have also served on boards like Denton Main Street Association. I've served on the Parks Board for 6 years as the chair for 3. I've helped pass law in our town protecting individuals from discrimination. I've done all of this work by being in my community. And that's exactly what city council should be doing, right? The people inform us what they want to see happen in our town, and that requires having conversations consistently and across all departments to make sure that we're running together to address what's going on and to make sure that we have opportunities to have events that we love, have businesses that we can support, and also pay our bills at the end of the day. I appreciate, again, you giving me the time. Visit georgefordenton.com if you have more questions, and I will be here to chat afterwards.
Thank you, George. Erica, we'll turn it over to you.
Do you mind repeating it? Just one
Not at all. What kind of working relationship should the city maintain with the Denton Chamber of Commerce and the broader business community? And how would you engage those stakeholders as a city council member?
So the city needs the chamber. They need to be able to maintain a collaborative and respectful partnership with the Chamber of Commerce to broaden our business community. This is something that's so important. Like, as we grow, building those relationships and building those connections is going to be vital for the survival of all of our businesses. And so I think that that's one of the things that in kind of my corporate world, I'm really good at. It's like, you have to be able to build those relationships, lean on people. If you're not an expert in this field, you should have the relationship and the ability to go and tap into that person and find and learn the information that they have to the betterment of everybody. I think that the chamber plays an important role in bringing business leaders together by identifying economic trends and serving as a voice for local business community, maintaining communication between the city and stakeholders to ensure policy decisions are informed and people are aware of what's happening. I think that's another issue we kind of face locally, is so many times we're like, when did this happen? When did that get approved? Who did this? And so just, that's another service that the chamber is able to kind of provide to everybody, keeping everybody plugged in, keeping everybody in the loop. And as a council member, I would certainly prioritize regular engagement with the chamber and local business leaders by attending community forums, listening to what your needs are, and being able to help and support any way that I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Can we give Eric and George a round of applause, please? As they head back to their seats, I'm going to ask all the New York candidates to please come up, and I'm going to hand the baton back over to Aaron Newby.
Thank you. These are precious.
This is the same one as Daniel.
I guess.
Now I see why everyone's commenting on how cute these are. They're really.
Since these are one-off, can we take these?
Run off. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Fair enough,
Bring it
fair
back.
enough.
Sorry, no, I don't look at them anyway.
Okay. For this one, we'll just kind of remember 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1. We'll just keep working your way towards me each time. Same thing, 60-second opener, 90-second questions, 60 seconds to rebut. And we'll get as many questions as we can in to leave time at the end for open networking with all the candidates. Okay? So let's go ahead and start all the way down. You're way down. Go ahead, 60 seconds.
Sorry.
Hi, my name is Shannon Childs, and I'm running for mayor of Denton. I want to thank you all for being here this Monday afternoon. When I saw the time for this forum, I was a little sad because I knew my support system would be at work during this time, and I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to do that. When I thought about that, though, instead of wallowing in it, I thought about a student that I worked with at North Central Texas College from start to finish. She was a small business owner who started her own mobile food business, selling spices and other products from her mobile truck. And she was a single mother. And she did this all on her own throughout her whole time at North Central Texas College. And it's that kind of grit and gumption that I see in small business owners that I can't help but cheer on wholeheartedly. And so I'm really excited to be here to talk to you all about small businesses, local businesses, and what your city council and leadership can do to collaborate with you. Thank you.
Sorry.
Make sure the jacket doesn't contract in the chair. I appreciate the chamber having this event. Normally at a lot of events, we have a little bit more breakfast tacos and beers, and that's a little bit more comfortable situation, but I appreciate the opportunity to talk about small businesses, talk about pathways forward. I think we can all agree that we'd like to see Denton be a little more affordable, a little more resilient, a little more connected. And one of the things I'll focus on for this meeting that we probably haven't brought up before is an opportunity to look for ways that we're not leaving our assets on the table. We're looking at ways of leveraging those assets. We're looking at ways of amplifying resources in ways that provide synergies to expand economic vitality and vibrancy in our community. As several people have admitted to, talked about already in the forum, I think it's important that we leverage our strengths already. So a little bit about me in the few seconds that we have left. I'm Dr. Brian Beck. I've been the D2 City Council person for 5 years. And we're wrapping it up, so I'll just say that I've been the chair of a number of the boards and commissions.
Thanks. Good afternoon. My name's Angela Brewer. I am a hometown Denton girl. I'm a mom. I'm a small business owner. I have a new business. It's a travel business that I've started in the last 6 or 8 months. I'm not making much money yet, but as soon as I do, I'm planning to join the chamber. It's on my vision board for this year in the growth and development of my small business. I have gotten a chance to come to some of the chamber events and really appreciated the resource that the chamber is for our community and see very clearly how the folks at the chamber and all of our business owners coming together will be great collaborators with the city of Denton and with our leadership in our next city council. I'm running for mayor because I think it's time for a fresh start in our community. I think we need to have a new way of doing business in Denton, Texas, and I am ready to lead the way. I have about 25 years experience as an educator where I have spent my time creating space for collaboration and problem solving, bringing teams together to do that work. That's exactly what I want to do for my hometown now. Thanks for having me, thanks for being here.
So you're the timer? Okay, you got it. All right, my name is Chris Watts. Grew up here in Denton, graduated from Denton High in '79, and I really like this because it's got the Morrison corn kits on it. And I remember as a senior in high school, I would get up on those trucks in 100-degree weather and have to put those probes in there to sample the seeds and the grain for moisture on it. Good, fun memory. I served as your mayor from 2014 to 2020. And at that time, we lowered the tax rate by 10 cents. We lowered utility rates. Economic development was great. I'm running simply because people say we're at a crossroads. We're sort of in a ditch. And I think right now, the primary reason I'm running is to bring back civility, respect, and integrity to the city council. Because when you don't have that, when you have a dysfunctional environment, it's hard to make good decisions. So when we talk about relationships with the chamber, we need to make sure that we have good relationships on the dais. We have good relationships with staff. So that's primarily why I'm running, to bring that back, because I've done it before and I've done it for longer than just 6 years as mayor. Is that my second countdown? ChrisWatts.com.
It's hard.
You get 5 seconds. Okay, we're going to move on now. We started at the end with Shannon, right? So we'll go on to that second. Okay, first question. What do you see as the most significant challenge facing Denton's economy and business climate, including your potential district, which is in your role as mayor? And how would you work with fellow city council members to build consensus around solutions that provide stability and predictability for businesses?
No, I really appreciate the question. I think that's obviously one of the biggest factors that we're facing. And I think, you know, it's really glib and easy to say affordability, but that is, and that's affordability whether we're talking about residents and end users or whether we're talking about cost management for business structures. We're all looking at ways to avoid rising costs and look for opportunity for synergies where opportunities can arise to promote new businesses, small businesses, employment. And so you'll hear a lot of my answers today will be focused on workforce training, because up and down the pipeline, whether we're talking about CDL or all the way up to large professional careers, I think that's the thing. And the other place that I think we can focus on that's a real challenge is getting to predictability. And that's this. And I think one way to get to that is this idea of pre-vetted, pre-formatted plans that are already available in development services that businesses can take an opportunity to streamline and speed up the development process.
So that affordability gap is a really big deal for basically everyone in Denton. Small business owners, those of you who are working in our local economy, you know this to be true, that we have to keep folks living in Denton at all income levels, and to do that, we have to have a more affordable community to live in. I'm talking about housing, I'm talking about transportation, I'm talking about electricity rates, I'm talking about childcare. Right? We need to have access to affordability for all of Denton citizens so that we can build a rich, diverse group of Dentonites who are able to support every business in this room, both as employees and as customers of your businesses. I think this idea about how we get there is really the critical part of this question. Most of us can identify the problem. Finding the solution is the hard part. And really working as collaborators among our city council members, collaborating between the city and the Chamber of Commerce as the voice for local business, and making sure we're collaborating with the workforce of Denton and what they need to see as our economy develops and how we need to grow. Those are some of the activities that I really want to focus on. I'm definitely thinking about how we build great communication and collaboration to solve our problems around affordability.
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah. What do you see as the most significant challenge facing Denton's economy and business climate? And how would you work with fellow city council members to build consensus around solutions that provide stability and predictability for businesses?
I think one of the major challenges from economic development's perspective is we don't have an EDC. I mean, people have said we want an EDC, we can't get an EDC unless we vote out the DCTA and then have another election for a half cent. So we have to make a commitment to fund economic development, our enterprise fund and our catalyst fund. And I would also propose that we need to create another committee under the Economic Development Partnership Board that's primarily, well, it has all small business owners as their members. Because I think small businesses have a unique challenge in this city. I mean, we have large businesses, but the real question is, how do we build consensus and predictability? You have to build that with communication. You have to build that with being able to work together. I don't mean working together is not disagreeing, because I think, quite frankly, disagreement can bring forth the best solutions to a problem because you have all different kinds of solutions on the table and you can bring that forward. So we have to focus on what is it we're really trying to do. Affordability, affordable housing. I just learned a statistic today that since 2021, the Denton Housing Authority has had 21 projects either they've obtained, they've already built, or they're in construction of multifamily units. And that's a total of 6,500 units over the last 5 years. So the way to have predictability, you've got to ask questions. We had a $2.5 billion budget this year. 5 years ago, we had $1.4 billion. How did we get there? Thank you.
Stick.
So to me, one of the most significant challenges facing Denton's economy is the growing gap between the cost of living and the wages available to many residents, something you've heard other candidates say today. However, I've witnessed this firsthand from working with college students on the verge of homelessness who have had to rely on walking or public transportation when they can't afford to fix their vehicles, and those who have relied on the mini food pantry in my office to even sustain themselves. When workers cannot afford housing, transportation, or basic stability, it becomes harder for local businesses to recruit and retain employees. I think that our healthy economy depends on people being able to live, work, and build stable lives in the community that they serve. We often consider college students as transient, but they frequently offer significant participation in our economy during their time in Denton. The lack of attention to addressing the issue of affordability seeps into every element of our daily life in Denton. Not just for students. This includes impacting children and families, low-income households, and our residents experiencing homelessness. Addressing affordability, transportation access, and infrastructure planning is essential, not just for residents, but for the long-term stability of our local business climate. As your mayor, I would work to build consensus around policies that strengthen workforce stability while providing transparency and predictability in planning and development decisions. To me, this isn't just about creating higher paying jobs. People here love the work that they do, but are realizing they may not be able to sustain their ability to live in our community at current costs.
Thank you very much. All right, on this question, we'll start with Angela down here. What role should the city of Denton play in economic development, and how would you assess the city's current approach? What's working well, and what would you change to better support business retention, expansion, and attraction?
It's one of those questions we need 20 minutes to answer, right? So in a minute and a half, I'm just going to hit a couple of the highlights. What's going well, and what I hope we get to expand on soon. So first of all, what's going well is I think our economic development folks are doing an excellent job looking outside of Denton and bringing big employers into our community. They're doing great work at that, and I really appreciate that work. And I really want us to lean in on that and keep doing that kind of work as we move forward. Where I think we could do more is on the support for small business and local business owners. I would love to see our city put real effort into cultivating our creative economy. We have tons of folks in Denton who have amazing talent and really build the soul and the culture of our community, but they can't make a good living doing it. So I'd love to see our city really invest in ways to embrace that creative community and build real business, help them build real business for themselves so that they can continue to live and work and build the culture that they help us build here in Denton. As a small business owner, I know I feel like I'm drinking from a fire hose all the time trying to keep up with information and connections. And so if we could do more on small business incubation, and maybe we'll take small business owners who have 2 or 3 employees and grow them to 5 or 6 employees, or even the micro businesses like mine, where I'm the sole employee of my business, I would love to hire an assistant. Right? That would be great. So finding ways to help me grow my business into becoming an employer in the community too. Those are the things we need to develop on and do more of.
That's what should city role be for economic. What are we doing well? I think we have the same goal. We have the same vision, we have the same dream. Could we be better at it? Could we be better in collaborating with communication between the chamber and the city? Sure. That's how you find the best possible solution. For the city, for the small businesses, I really think that's really, and we've heard that a lot, but for small businesses, I think that's the biggest gap we have. Because small businesses, from what I understand statistically, make up 80% of a workforce in a city. And we are sort of missing out on those businesses because they have ideas, they have challenges, they have solutions that big companies don't have to deal with. And they have creative solutions. I'm disappointed to hear about the Peterbilt situation going out to McKinney. I don't know how that happened. I think when those things happen, I hope we've looked at behind the scenes. How did that occur? Did anybody know about it, or did they just decide to get up and go on their own? I think communication is the key to make sure we understand with both our small and our large businesses, what are your needs, what are you needing, so that we can be in tune to that, so we can continue to provide the predictability that was addressed in the last question with policies that meet the needs.
So I think that some of our advantages include our universities and our creative economy, and especially where we're located in kind of the heart of Denton County. I think one way we sort of keep this collaboration going with the Chamber of Commerce, and what I would love to see happen, is to kind of create this like network of community connectedness. Maybe having some sort of like liaison or someone from the Chamber of Commerce who's able to work to connect with some of our other partnerships and make sure that small business have a voice at the table. So to me, this looks like ensuring that those working in small business development, homelessness and housing advocacy, wildlife conservation, education, and other areas such as transportation have an accessible way to ensure their concerns and ideas are received with purpose and intention. I think where we could also work to improve is ensuring that infrastructure, housing availability, and transportation planning keep pace with the growing development that we're seeing. I think that when growth outpaces infrastructure or workforce accessibility, it creates challenges for both businesses and residents. A more coordinated and community-informed approach to planning can help ensure that economic growth strengthens the entire community.
Appreciate the, oh, there we go. I appreciate the question. I think you've heard a lot of folks talk about one of the things that we're a 3-college town, as you've heard a number of times. You'll keep hearing that. And one of the things that you learn in that professional level in academia is communication. You're going to hear all of us talk about communication. I think to look at the juxtaposition of that, one of the places that's very ironic that we don't always do well is we sometimes silo our expertise, we need to do a better job, and people need to realize that probably on the order of 20% of your job is communicating with each other, within your division, between departments, and back and forth for us with the constituents. And you see that in infrastructure. We do a good job of infrastructure, except when we don't listen and we don't look at the disruptions. And I think that's an opportunity that we could get better. And I think one of the ways, back to the issue of the chamber, some of the recent reorganization that happened allowed the chamber, the Visitors Bureau, and the city to really focus on the core mission and strengths. So the chamber does a really great job of business retention, and I think we can coordinate with the offices of career development and offices of tech transfer at the universities and have the chamber be the ombudsman, be the landing place for that sort of innovation pipeline and workflow pipeline to be coming in as it's coming in and out. And I think we can do the same thing with tech transfer.
Good. Chris, what are the biggest opportunities for Denton's long-term economic prosperity? And how should the city manage growth to support infrastructure, workforce needs, and quality of life?
All right.
Challenges, this is.
What are the biggest opportunities? There's some great opportunities that are being presented to the city of Denton. I'm going to borrow one of my council candidates' ideas, Erica Garland. The airport is one of the most underutilized opportunity in our city. I think we have a tremendous airport, and the region is growing, Alliance is growing, and we need to make sure that we develop that out to maximize its economic opportunity for the city. Because a lot of people fly, a lot of cargo comes in all over this region in airplanes, and so I think we need to understand what the needs are out there and what the situation is out there. And we can do that with the experts that are in aviation. The second one is Novartis is one of the largest, it's a worldwide global pharmaceutical manufacturing company that's coming to Denton. $270 million, I think 150 jobs, over 100K plus in salaries. There's about 100 to 200 acres right across the street. And I think we can focus on making that a biomedical campus that would attract different suppliers for that organization and also attract other manufacturers that are on the cutting edge of medical technology. I think that is probably our best opportunity right now, starting from scratch. And we basically got it because we had a facility out there that was radioactive, that had been sitting out there for 10 or 15 years, and it just happened to find the best end user. So I think we've got a real big kickoff that we can do right there. Thank you.
I agree with what some other candidates have said earlier. I think that Denton's greatest opportunity lies in the combination of our universities, our creative culture, and our willingness to show up when our neighbors are in need. These qualities create a strong future towards leaders of service, entrepreneurship, and innovation. I think that in order to fully realize that potential, Denton has to ensure that this growth is matched by investment in infrastructure, not just physical infrastructure, but social infrastructure as well. Additionally, transportation and workforce housing needs to be considered. A thriving economy depends on workers being able to live in or near the communities where they work, allowing us the chance to collaborate with what our own gifts and strengths bring to this city. I think that our growth and prosperity should not just be measured by our growing population, but how we're maintaining and strengthening the quality of life for people who live in Denton and make our economy function every single day.
There we go.
In the top.
I know, right? I'm gonna eat it like a lollipop. You're gonna hear me over and over kind of beating a dead horse, and I don't mean to repeat myself, except for the fact that builds awareness, especially when you're trying to get a point across. But that is, we have this 3-college town, and for the entire 20 years that I have lived in Denton, people come here to go to UNT and TW and NCTC. We clearly have a pipeline of linesmen, engineers for water and wastewater, fire, police, CDL, HVAC, these things all exist, but that sort of workforce pipeline is the missing glue. And you know what? Not only is the chamber perfectly positioned to be that business retention workforce glue, but they don't even have to reinvent the wheel because the offices of career development and the offices of tech transfer at the university are already doing it, and they're exporting jobs from Denton. People are coming to Denton and then looking to leave. And that's a real problem if you're trying to develop career pathways. So I think there's an opportunity for us to replicate that sort of university focus that's making jobs leave, and instead develop workforce pipelines here all the way up from LeGrone and vocational training, CDL, HVAC, all the way up to professional degree pathways.
I'll tell you, when I got to this question on the questionnaire, I was really excited. It's my favorite question, and not just because it was the middle, which means I was halfway done. It is also because it has some words in it I really love. Opportunity, prosperity, workforce needs, and maintaining our quality of life. That when we get to the end of the day, what are we doing here talking about economic development? What's the entire point? It's so that we can have a great quality of life in our community. That's the entire reason we get together as a Chamber of Commerce to do economic development. It is about feeding the quality of life in our community. So some of the things I want to think about are how of the opportunities we need to really embrace so that we can lean into a high quality of life and make business better. First of all, ending the construction fatigue. I know I was fearful for ages that one of my favorite restaurants, Green Sitar, was going to go out of business because they were sitting over there on Sunset with the street closed down for 2 years. Everyone in Denton wants to talk to me about the roads all of the time. We have to get these projects moving faster, on better timelines, and not cluster them into neighborhoods to improve not just our quality of life, but also the economic opportunity for all of our business owners who have brick and mortar buildings. I also really want us to cultivate our creative economy. I love Denton, I love living here because it's just cool. It's a fun place to be. There's always something awesome to do. Most nights there's more than one thing to do. So we really need to cultivate that economy, and it's a project I'd like to work on as mayor.
We're going to go back to the punch. The city of Denton recently reported a $14.5 million general fund shortfall, which was addressed through service reductions and a property tax rate increase. What long-term strategies would you support to ensure fiscal sustainability without placing an undue burden on businesses and taxpayers?
Yes, so I think this sort of long-term fiscal sustainability requires careful planning, transparency, and responsible stewardship of public resources. The city should continue strengthening performance-based budgeting so that funding decisions are tied to measurable outcomes and community needs. Economic stability also depends on maintaining the infrastructure and services that residents and businesses rely on. Strategic investment in workforce stability, infrastructure, and responsible development can help strengthen the city's tax base over time while avoiding unnecessary burdens on taxpayers. In addition to investment, the city can play a stronger role in promoting coordination between local government, nonprofits, small businesses, and community organizations. Denton already has many resources that support working families and local entrepreneurship, but they are often operating in isolation. Creating stronger networks of awareness and collaboration can help ensure residents know where to find the goods, services, and opportunities that already exist in our community.
One of the things that hit us in the last few years was state and federal policies that contributed to a lack of flexibility and a lack of funding opportunities. And then we responded to that sort of in a way where we're like, well, we're going to deal with our immediate reactive processes first. I think there's a better plan. We should follow our comprehensive plan, some of our economic development policies, and I think one of the opportunities that we sort of missed the ball on was utility and infrastructure coordination, and you heard Angela talk about this just a second ago. I think one of the ways that we can avoid shortfalls and challenges is to not only make sure that we maintain the vibrancy through that coordination and communication, and make sure that all businesses are sort of strengthened and recognized, but recognize the disruption that those kinds of uncoordinated utility and street repairs have on our community and the loss of GDP. And I think some additional opportunities for us are in the utility and transportation realm. I think there's still state and federal money out there on the table for us to go get, If we can leverage things like the neodymium factory in North Lake, our Center for Battery Technology, our 100% renewable pipeline, and tier rates that are based on consumption, that's an opportunity for us.
Yeah, and I'm a grown-up Girl Scout. It's a weird thing to bring up at the Chamber of Commerce forum, I know, but one of the laws of Girl Scouting is to use your resources wisely. Something that has been ingrained into my head since I was a 6-year-old brownie selling my cookies and learning how to use those cookie resources wisely to go to camp. I think that's what our city has to do. We have to do it in a proactive way. I think one of the problems we saw when we found out there was a deficit coming is that it was a very reactive adjustment where a lot of cuts came into play without a whole lot of thought about the impacts of those cuts. So I want us to be very proactive in the way we're working on our budget, and particularly thinking about things like doing a staff audit. We have about 200 vacancies right now in our city staff. Before we start hiring and filling those positions, let's make sure they're all necessary, that there aren't people in this building who are taking on more work than they're supposed to be doing, but also eliminating any position that isn't required. I really want to think about us working better as collaborators with some of the other folks in our community who are doing work, like nonprofit groups. I'd love to see us create a nonprofit hub so that we have less repetition of services where the city's doing work that this nonprofit's also doing and that other nonprofit. All three are doing the same work, and so we get that redundancy. We need to look more for efficiency and the way that we're doing these things. I have more, so come talk to me after.
I've been involved in 14 budgets, and I don't recall ever seeing anything like that. And when I say like that, I mean, when the presentation was made, in a high-level presentation, there wasn't really a whole lot of questions asked about how are we doing. Because what happens when you hear you got a $14 million projected budget shortfall? Now, the budgets have to be balanced by state law. So you can't have a deficit budget. They have to be balanced. But what happens in the mind when you hear we got a $14 million budget deficit? What happens? The scissors come out. The scissors come out and people start cutting. What I would do is I would implement zero-based budgeting, which everybody talks about all the time. But we had some of that back when I was mayor before. We worked within our means, and we need to have an understanding earlier in the process of what is happening with the budget. Because a lot of things happen because of that presentation. I mean, hot funds, a lot of cultural events were cut. Their funding was cut in hot funds. I mean, when you hear that, you go into a panic mode. You can't panic, but you have to know. I don't even know if anybody can tell me how we came to that to begin with. If we have 200 vacancies, how are we managing those? You start with zero-based budgeting, you start over. You have to justify every dollar you're spending anew every year. And so it's up to the buck stops here, and the council, that's their main priority, is to pass it.
One last question. We'll start with you, Doug, this time around. What kind of working relationship should the city maintain with the Denton City Chamber of Commerce and the broader business community? And how would you engage those stakeholders as mayor?
Well, one, I think the chamber plays a vital role. And I'm not just blowing smoke. The role of the chamber is business retention. The recent reorganization and the focus on the strengths of Denton has really enabled the chamber to really go to what it does really, really well, which is provide information to other small businesses and large businesses as well. They need a little less help, but and promote that network, that fabric that weaves it all together, and that has been their strength for years and years and years. The CVB is focused on promoting tourism in Denton, and then that leaves the city to focus its strength on economic diversity and development. Like we've heard about Novartis coming to town. We've heard about some of our other opportunities that have come here. I mentioned the neodymium factory down in North Lake. There are opportunities by parsing that and continuing to communicate with the chamber. And so it's not just Wednesday breakfasts. It's absolutely that what I said earlier, that 20% of everyone's job here and everyone needs to be communicating with each other and finding out the needs. And I think, as I said earlier, there's a perfect opportunity for the chamber to fulfill that landing pad for offices of career development and offices of tech transfer, to find those locations, those business opportunities in Denton and develop pathways in Denton.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. I'm excited about the relationship between the City of Denton and the Chamber of Commerce. I think it's a really great opportunity. We've had a good working relationship historically, and I think that we can continue to have that kind of amazing working relationship. What I would like to see is the city bring the chamber into discussions earlier in the process of creating new policy or putting new plans in place. So when we're thinking about street projects and construction and how those projects are going to affect our businesses, let's bring the chamber in early so that y'all know what's coming. You can work with the city in the planning to implement those projects in a way that has the least negative impact on local business as the construction's happening. So I think we really need to take a review of red tape and fees that a lot of the small business owners, particularly folks like me who are single member businesses who are just trying to get themselves off of the ground. I see a lot of them over at Stoke Co-working and they're like, man, the fees that we have to pay just to be in business in this community are really troubling and kind of keep us out of being able to do networking. So, and get our businesses growing the way we want to grow them. So I really want to look at red tape and fees and see are there ways we can make business easier, and that's all answers we're going to have to do in collaboration between the city and the Chamber of Commerce. Y'all are our eyes and ears in the business community, and I think that we need to have a hand-in-hand partnership going forward to make sure that Denton is a city that is welcoming to business and that we can continue to have a strong economy.
Question, what kind of working relationship would you have? I don't think anybody's going to stand up here and say a terrible one. A terrible one. You're going to have a good one. We have to continue to talk to one another. We have to continue to examine what are the pitfalls. We have to examine what are our challenges, what are our opportunities, and you only do that by communication. And it's not just communication, sitting and just kind of for 5 minutes. It's being intentional about what you're really trying to achieve. And so I've worked with the Chamber for many years, and I will say this, just a little bit of history. The Chamber wasn't too happy with me with the whole Embassy Suites hotel situation about 10 years ago, but that was fun. But again, even in that, we found a way to make it all work. And that's what you have to do. We cannot be afraid of getting in the room with someone that may disagree with us, or that we may disagree with, but we certainly can get in there and not be disagreeable. We can be respectful, we can have integrity, and we can be civil. And I guarantee you will find solutions. So the relationship with the Chamber is imperative because they are, as Andrew, they're the eyes and ears of the community out there. And I will say this is where I propose the Small Business Roundtable, to try to bring people in from small businesses to know what your specific needs are, what your specific challenges are, because I think that is one of the areas in the city that's a little forgotten. But they provide most of the jobs in this city. So it's very important that we have the ability to hear their problems and to work with them to find solutions.
So much like others have said, I think that this has to be a collaborative relationship. I think that local businesses are an important part of Denton's identity, and they play a key role in our long-term stability. I want to prioritize consistent communication, not only with business leaders, but also with workers, educators, and community organizations, so that economic decisions reflect the needs of our entire community. I believe the Chamber could play an important role in that network by helping ensure local businesses have a clear pathway to share concerns, ideas, and opportunities with the council, but to also make sure that you feel heard when you're sharing those concerns. I think that this kind of network could also strengthen connections between local business and the organizations that already provide guidance and support for entrepreneurs and small business owners. Improving awareness and coordination between chamber, local support organizations, and city resources can make it easier for businesses to access training, mentorship, and partnerships to help them grow and succeed. Strengthening these connections can increase awareness of the resources already present in Denton and help businesses, organizations, and residents support each other more effectively. Thank you.
Y'all, as I have Darren come up to put a bow on it, please give your appreciation to these candidates.
Thank you all. We appreciate all the candidates. As we close, I just want to say a couple quick things. Invite everybody to stay around after. I'm sure the candidates will be happy to answer any questions that you might have and stay around and mingle. One thing that we talk a lot about is it's easy to stay in our social circles or on social media and complain. It's a lot harder to put your name out there and throw it in the ring, to try to be the person in the arena making hard decisions. And so whether or not we agree with every single policy decision, we should all respect that all of these candidates have put themselves out there to help lead Denton to a better place. Let's give them all another round of applause. As a reminder, early voting starts April 20th through the 28th. Election day, general election day is Saturday, May 2nd. I would suggest y'all all be involved. The fact that you're here on Monday afternoon, I don't think that's going to be a big problem. In K-12 education, we have a saying, and it's so goes our school, so goes our community. And I believe that to be true. I also believe that to be true about our businesses. Simple fact is we need a strong and vibrant business community for Denton to thrive. That is what we do as a chamber, as a 501c6 organization that advocates for businesses. We are always promoting what can help us, what can help our small businesses, our large businesses, what can make Denton a better place. Because economic development is not just about jobs and taxes and infrastructure, it is about quality of life. And it's about drawing people to Denton and why we want to stay here. So we are happy to do that. We're also happy to partner. That takes a partnership between the city, Denton ISD, the chamber, all of our businesses, UNT, TWU, NCTC, the county. We all have to partner together. And if we do that, we can make sure that Denton continues to thrive. So thank you all for being here. We appreciate it. Y'all have a great day.
I'm almost afraid to leave the dais at this point.
That's like